Ocitneš se v klece, ve vězení předsudků, při zabitý moci a nad životní nároků. Dál pořád, dál se řídíš, spěcháš nocí bez světel a prsty vychodí ti naposledy službu. Dál pořád, dál a neudržíš vrstě nitky názorů a mouder, co pro překlez let náleží pro rozkys. Krásná vteřina v opadu rána, vzduch zas tak nějak těžkne. Město se topí v opadu mlhy a v prvních paprstích bledne. Poslední autobus prorazil ticho a pak se v něm beze slov ztratil. Snoubenci před bránou místního bordelu přijali dvojí čest zášti. Dál pořád, dál se řídíš, spěcháš nocí bez světel a brzy vypoví ti naposledy službu. Dál pořád, dál a neudržíš vrstě nitky názorů a mouder, co pro cykly zled náleží pro rozkys. Spěcháš nocí bez světel a brzy vypoví ti naposledy službu. Dál pořád, dál a neudržíš vrstě nitky názorů a mouder, co pro cykly zed náleží pro rozkys. Milionkrát jsem ti říkal, že tě ve všem věřím, milionkrát jsem se tu proklínal. Teď už dobře vím, jak moc se v tobě mýlím, teď už dobře vím, že přijde konečná. Milionkrát jsem ti říkal, že ti ve všem věřím, milionkrát jsem se tu proklínal. Teď už dobře vím, jak moc se v tobě mýlím, teď už dobře vím, že přijde konečná. Milionkrát jsem ti říkal, že ti ve všem věřím, milionkrát jsem se tu proklínal. Teď už dobře vím, jak moc se v tobě mýlím, teď už dobře vím, že je tu konečná.
Moshi everybody, hello, my name is Notepad Anon and I write games for fun. So what are we doing today? Well, today we're going to be working obviously on the Songs of the White Carnations, a game about being homeless. Well, more accurately, a game about being mercenaries in the Spanish Civil War. But it's not the Spanish Civil War, it's the Inerian Civil War. Very different, by the way, very different. But what are we doing today? What's the plan? What's the 411? What's hip with the kids? How we gaming, gamers? Generally speaking, there's a few things I got done the other day. If I scroll all the way up here, we can start from the top. One of the big things that did occur was that I did finish up the lore of all the various nations. To give a brief rundown, Leon is France, if France was just Frenchier. Teutonia is the Germans, if the Germans were a lot more Prussian in nature. A lot less Bavarian, and kind of, instead of being a smorgasbord of cultures, it was just very Prussian. Albion is super Britain by way of just being very stiff upper lip in everything they do. Latium is Italy. Italy, it's just Italy. Like, it's just pre-World War II Italy. Ruskovia, or the Union of Revolutionary Socialist States, was pretty much just the USSR if everything went horribly wrong continuously. And then finally we have the Federation of Colombian States, which is just America. America! Yes, glorious America. Hanteng is pretty much just warlord era China. Except everything is infinitely worse. Imperial Yashima is pretty much just the Empire of Japan. The only thing I did kind of put in there a little bit was the idea, like, it's the emperor's a little bit less in power, and it's more of like, yeah, it's kind of an oligarchic imperial oligarchy. So it's kind of like the power between the emperor and the generals are a little bit wonkier, and it's like, yeah, you're from Yashima, you probably don't really feel like you belong anywhere because you're a weird fucking guy. I also finished up the Why Are You Here? You know, I added only, these were just example ones, but just to kind of give you an idea, it's like you have a nasty habit, one that's impossible to drop, and even if they did, the temptation would haunt them forever. This addiction is overpowering and crippling, but keeping on the move can distract for a time. You also have things such as being hunted, you know, as target on their back, and whoever it is more than willing to take the vagabond out. Paranoia sets in Paranoia sets in from the last time they tried to get them, and now everything is a question of when rather than if. And of course we have sorrow. The vagabond's goal is unclear and unfocused, just as they are. Rather than a future willing to catch up with them, it's a past they're trying to outrun. One that, if they ever does reach them, will consume them in the bleakest pits of despair. But then we have our various archetypes. What I ended up doing, actually, was, you know, I kind of reworked some of these. I didn't alphabetize them, unfortunately. As you can kind of see here, I did the skill system. I just did the skill system off camera, just because it was just going to be a lot of me staring at something. But yeah, as you can kind of see here, you get one ability and one of 3 skills of your choice. You're going to end up with 4 skills at the end of the day. We kind of have here, and we also made our sample character. I did a full character. Would you look at all that lore? Yes, it's fucking lore. God, I hate writing lore. But yeah, here's our example character, Rafael Maurice, a Latian reporter. I chose him to do a full character because I couldn't really fit it in the skill section, unfortunately. So it's just the idea that he has a Adventure of 1, Mystery 4, Drama 3, Conflict 0, and he chose Intuition from being a poet. However, he chooses, because of who he is, he chooses Artistry, Banter, and Stealth as his chosen skills. That's who he is. So his full skills are Intuition, Artistry, Banter, and Stealth. That's his 4 big things. If you notice, he has 0 combat skills, which is Raphael's now warrior, and would like nothing more than a cappuccino with a bowl of strawberries. But in the heart of Ineria, he has a story to write. Yeah, one thing I noticed when I was writing the skills, and you just kind of see here the basic ideas, like here are all kind of the simple skills. I actually asked the other server, being like, what are your opinions on it? That was a mistake, by the way. But I have skills such as Artistry, the skill at composing, articulating, and creating various works of art. You have things such as Athletics. Athletics was kind of weird. Like I like the term of athletics, but I know something like endurance would probably be a better word for it. Because like my idea would be like, if you have the athletic skill, is you're just a physically tough person. You are the kind of person who is a lot more physical and a lot more, buff and can, move things around a lot easier. You're able to use that strength a lot more efficiently. Endurance does have its own kind of connotations behind it. That's why I'm a little bit wonky on it. I could probably, fuck it, why not? I'll change it. Let's see, working a crowd and getting the regulars to open up to you about their thoughts. Well, I was finding out about the underbelly of society. Yeah. Banter is... I usually like doing social skills in kind of a weird way, depending on what it is. In this one, we have Banter, which is more pretty much a prol talk. Yeah, I usually end up calling it prol talk. Charm, which is more like your seduction, kind of like your seduction skill. Command, which is more of like your military skill. Then you have things like etiquette, which is more like fancy talk. That's the best way to kind of think of like the dynamics between the four of them, where banter is really all about being in the muck of things. If you're dealing with people who are kind of down and dirty, you're going to be using banter more often. If you want to talk to soldiers, you're going to be using banter. While if you're using charm, it's more along the lines of like, charm is a universal. Everyone finds you can find someone charming, but it's like they kind of gotta like you already. That's kind of the idea. Like, yes, this is this soldier, like, you have charm, but this soldier just isn't attracted to you. This isn't a thing. But like, hey, sexy lady has charm. Yeah, the soldier's gonna listen to a hell of a lot more. Like, yeah, hey. Command is more about kind of like more military speaking with people about, being in the ground, which is very useful in a war with a lot of soldiers. But etiquette, on the other hand, is kind of that high society. So it's like, I want there to be crossover between them, but it's more about the approach you choose to do with it. And I'm okay with crossover. That's the thing. I'm okay with them being that, because I don't expect players to be like, oh, well, I'm just going to take banter, charm, command, and etiquette. Like, I don't really think people are going to do that. And if they do, that means you're kind of a multidisciplined person. You can do one thing really well and kind of choose your approach how you want to. Because what I want to do is that every skill can also kind of be used for other things. Like technically, charm can be used for mystery or drama. Command can be conflict or adventure. Etiquette's kind of got its own set of banter. All of them have different uses with different skills if you really want. What was the one that somebody proposed? One of the greatest sins of the modern Western world is death of the etiquette skill. Like, how I usually view, like, the difference between, like, banter and etiquette is you as a person change how you speak to other people depending on the situation. It's, if you are at kind of a more formal function, you speak differently. You kind of hold your language a little bit more. It's a lot more about not directly stating anything. There's a lot of like back and forth with it. There's a lot of like, banter. How I picture banter is more like you are sat at a pub with some guy named like Ricky Babuski or something, and this guy's shit-faced, you're shit-faced, you're talking, and he's telling you shit, you're telling, and it's this back and forth, which is a lot more natural. Versus, hey, we're in a party or something, and we need to kind of navigate around a little bit more. Which, having banter and etiquette does mean something. Babuski. I'm terrible with coming up with names on the spot. But it's kind of this kind of back and forth of, like, if you have etiquette and you have banter, you can use banter among like the wait staff. That would be a very valid tactic of like, oh yeah, less like, hey, like I'm one of you guys, more like, hey, I know how to speak to you guys more than anything, to be a little bit more down to earth. While etiquette is like, that's kind of how I want to do it. If you want to make like a strict academic, it's like, that's entirely possible. I'm okay with strict academics. Let me see what some other suggestions were. So we've got the repair skill, which I'm okay with. I can probably put like a mechanics. Let's see. We'll do the talent of fixing, repairing. Tools, and we would do what would be a person with the mechanic skill that isn't just a mechanic. That's always the problem with some of these. I'm like, the mechanic skill, like, How do you mechanic something? Who is a mechanic? I know one. No, foreman. Go, so let's just do... Yeah, kind of give Pilot a little bit of rest. I'm, like, not 100% sure, but, like, I'm okay with that. Let's see what some of the other suggestions they had. Yeah, the acrobatics and athletics. Let's see, you proposed fortitude. Fortitude, like, again, the idea behind acrobatics versus athletics, or endurance now, I guess, is if you have high acrobatics, that's your ability to leap through something, or, like, you're being very physical and very active. Like, your ability to slide through something, or your ability to, like, kind of finesse use dexterity and agility and things like that. While the other one was like, yeah, I can fucking bench press this shit. Like, I'm going to lift something up that it's a lot heavier than I should, or I'm using my physical form a lot easier. And it's kind of the difference between a sprinter and an endurance runner. An endurance runner is going to be able to go a lot longer, a lot harder, even though, even though the sprinter's faster than him. The sprinter's going to go fast and then fall over. He's going to be able to actually kind of endure, like, kind of keep a good pace with it. You may not be the most physically strong person in the world. That's, like, one of the things that's kind of odd. It's like, you can have actually a fairly low, like, adventure score or something, but you're just, like, a tough guy. Like, you could tough something out a little bit easier. So I think endurance would work for that. Let's see what other ones. Let's see what we have. Streetwise, that's kind of got folded into banter more than anything. Security or dealing with the legal system. That's an odd one. I'm not gonna... good idea, not gonna put that one in for the very simple reason of you're already barely legal and you're in a war zone. So, perception and noticing stuff. I'm not going to put a fucking perception skill. I don't actually like perception skill. Fun fact, everybody, I'm not actually a big fan of perception skills. I like investigation. I do not like perception. Because anybody can see shit. That's not hard. I like having something like investigation because that can actually be used for different things. What are you trying to investigate? What are you trying to look at? Being like, okay, I'm crouched over, the guy who's bleeding to death. It's like, okay, I'm gonna roll investigation being like, okay, you took a fucking gunshot wound here, here, and here. I don't have the medicine, but I know where you've been shot. And I'm like, okay, he got shot point blank then. I'm like, fuck, we gotta find it. Yeah, if you're doing that kind of game, it's fine. That's my thing. It's just like, it's fine if you're doing that kind of game. I don't usually do those kinds of games, though. I understand the point of wisdom in, like, D&D D20isms. I understand the point of wisdom. It's mostly to give clerics a reason to exist. Give clerics their casting stat, because... But... Yeah, no, it's like, I understand that, even though that's why everybody, like, but the thing is with perception in me is that, like, everybody will always invest in perception if they have the opportunity to. Yeah, and it's, like, everybody will always, invest in that, because that's just the best thing you could do. Intimidation, but I believe intimidation's just a way to talk to people. Sleight of hand, it was stealth, crafting and technology stuff. Fuck that. Use that again to make perception more expensive. I would, yeah, it's always one of those things, like, how do you, to me anyway, it's I never know how to use, like, how do you word perception? You see things better. The fuck does that mean? Like, is my vision better? Do I pay attention more? Like, that's just investigate then. I'm paying attention more. I have low perception IRL. Yeah, I mean, some people just don't see things very well, being like, situational awareness. I guess that you would call it is like just situational awareness, but I usually just, my usual idea is that characters are competent enough to already have that, because that's just why you would be here. Like, if you don't have basic situational awareness, like, oh man, sorry, you're just a fucking blind idiot with a sword, and you're like no, that's silly, that doesn't sound right to me. See, it feels, again, there feels like there should be a better term for that then, you know, instead of just perception and situational awareness, it feels like there should be a better wording to it. As someone who has to talk with people, people are incredibly stupid. Yeah, but you're special people. That's the thing. That's always the big thing with TTRPGs. That's why I always like to say is it's like, you are above the norm simply because you are who you are. You're a weird person, and as such, should be treated as such. I feel like I would struggle a lot to run session making a call to whether a conversation someone is technically bantering, charming, or trying to have good etiquette. I want to give you a secret with bantering, charming, and etiquette. Bantering is if you want to be informal but get good information from regular people. Charming is if you want to fuck the person and or try to make them do something if they like you already. And having good etiquette is among people of high society. I am talking to a dock worker. Etiquette is not going to work very well. I want to seduce the dock worker. Don't worry, he's probably going to be a little bit more, you know, alertness is a good one. Like persuade, you know, if I want to use like, what if I want good information? I want to fuck that high society dock worker. Then you'd end up with one. Then you would actually wouldn't be high society dock worker anyway. At that point, you'd be just using charm, or you'd be using charm or banter. It's kind of the approach that you want to take. That's how I would do this. In like, if you actually are like, I'm like, hey, I mean, and they're like, hey, then I would say charm. If you're like clearly making the indication of like, I just want fucking information from this dude. All right. Clearly not high society, you know? No about high society networks. Yeah, it's shit like that. It's like, I'm not going to make that call because as a GM, you're probably smart enough to realize this. Let's see. Personally, I just like having intimidation, persuasion, and performance for social roles. Why the fuck would you just have that? No. Where's perception? It's not really that hard. Marksmanship seems unintuitive. Marksmanship is literally just gun, by the way. Like, that's how I'm like, I'm trying to sound fancy with it so you can use it with other things. But like, yeah, it really does just boil down to like, here, let me have my gun real fast and shoot you because I have a gun and you don't. Let's see. Skills are much more useful than I don't know why they're complaining about balance. My fucking sample character has like no combat skills, and he's like, yeah, I chose artistry and intuition because that's who he is. He's a reporter. Because like the one thing I kind of realize is like characters are actually pretty competent because all the skill does is double your attribute. So, for example, for him, he's got Adventure 1, Mystery 4, Drama 3. And if you even were to pick up a combat skill, he has 0 in it. He's like, oh yeah, I want to use marksmanship. Cool, you double 0 to 0. Somebody's like, oh, I want to use, you know, banter and mystery. I'm trying to uncover something. I want to find some information out about this guy. I want to kind of learn a little bit what he's going for. Cool, you're rolling at a 2d6 plus 8. Cool, banger. Like, yeah, you know, just like Raphael is literally all about getting information and kind of writing down his thoughts and getting the information he needs. Hello, phone. Of course. Hello. I'll be back in a second. just call perception inspiration. Now you're just being cursed. Now you're just saying cursed language here. But yeah, no, these are pretty much our pretty much what our skills are going to end up being, and I think they work pretty well. Of course, I do also put in the note of, like, if you just want to do completely different skills, do it. I don't fucking care. And skills not present, which I should do. Oh god, what am I doing? Am I capitalizing side note or no? I am Oh, we are not doing that. We are skills of different calibers. Example. An example is fine because I like to highlight the fact that it is an example. Do I have any other side notes anywhere? I don't believe I do. I just need to double check when I get... Cool. Let's just hit this button one more time. And our final major thing that happened was the wounds and trauma system. Wounds and trauma are pretty simple. Basic idea is if you take damage, you're going to be assigned a severity. If you're within a certain severity, you're going to take a superficial, light, heavy, or mortal wound. Superficial wounds are little... Guys, hello, phone. What do you need? You want to tell me something, phone? Mr. Phone, what is it? Nothing. Someone from fucking Knoxville. Hello. But it, you know, superficial are like the little cuts, you know, kind of, it's the near misses. It's kind of that, like, the best way to think about it, you know, your superficial wounds are your body tenses up for a second that kind of freaks you out a little bit, but you're not really in any harm. You're not really in any danger. While light wounds are, these hurt a little bit. Nothing, again, nothing is spilling out. Nothing is broken yet. But it's like, clearly you got a pretty nasty little cut here. You know, you're going to get a scar at the end of this, and it's going to hurt. You're currently in pain. You only get a -1 to all your checks, though. I could also probably bump that up to about, you know, let's say 2. Because, like, the idea becomes, like, you're clearly, like, not doing too hot, and -2 on a 2d6 is pretty bad. You know, it's, if I rolled a 5 plus, let's say I have an attribute of 3, I rolled an 8, -2 brings me down to 6. This is pretty bad. This hurts a lot. Heavy wounds, on the other hand, are like, clearly something is not good. Something has been punctured that shouldn't. Something is making you go, oof, ow, my bones. You know, a rib or two may be broken, kind of thing. You have a -1d6 on all checks, actually, I should say, is, actually, I should do, how do I want to do this? Anyway, we'll just do -1d6 on all checks, and we'll put a side note in there. Yeah, standard checks now 1d6 plus mods are 2d6. Like, heavy wounds are probably the worst you can be at. Like, you've hit a nasty heavy wound, you got -1d6 on all your checks. Mortal wounds, on the other hand, gives you +1d6 to things. You're adding an entire another die to things. You are doing better. You're gonna, like, yeah, the best way to think about it is, if you're at mortal wounds, you're going to be acting better. You're going to be going stronger, faster, and everything. You're great. However, if you take anything above mortal, if you take a second mortal wound, you're fucked. You're dead. You've perished. That's it. And, like, I want it to be a little bit, like, it's kind of rough. Technically, you can only take 7, 8, 9. Technically, you can really only end up taking 10 wounds. However, you know, even take, let's say, for example, your first wound's a heavy wound, you have a -1d6 on all your checks. You've clearly got hurt. Like, you're not doing, it's kind of whatever the highest effect is. So but taking a mortal wound right away actually puts you in a pretty good advantage, because you get a 1 + 1d6 on it. It's just you're on death's door, and you clearly are fucked up. You've taken a bullet to the gut. You are not doing well. I'm stealing your bonus to all checks on mortal wounds. Okay, thanks. Can't stop me literally typing it out. Yeah, I actually got this from Tenra Banjo Zero, and that's one thing I really liked about Tenra. Is the closer you are to death, the more bonuses you end up getting. I like the idea being like you are knocking on heaven's door kind of thing, and you're not doing well, but you've kind of got that. It's that last burst of adrenaline and last burst of ability, as you will not go quietly into this, good night. It's now, mind you, after the fight, you're collapsing pretty much. Like you clearly need medical attention. You are fucked up, and like you are clearly not doing well. Like you do need help, like right away. Actually, what I should do. Vagabonds will reduce all wounds by 1 tier at the start of every episode. Reduce all wounds by 1 tier at the start of every episode. Should they attend a professional actually a medical should they attend a medical professional then they will reduce their wounds by 2 tiers. It's kind of like the idea of like, yeah, you're fucked up, but you'll live kind of thing. You're clearly not looking too hot, but you will come out of this maybe alive. Just want to add the medical, how to do the medical stuff, because it's always good to have that in this section. This does mean like even taking a few wounds does mean like you're kind of at a disadvantage. Like you're clearly hurt, and getting hurt sucks. But the kind of like how I wanted to reduce the natural wound limits, it's you're losing advantages pretty quickly, because unless you are at kind of like a medical institution for a mortal wound, you're going to minimum have for next session heavy wounds. You're going to have a heavy wound regardless of what you do. And that means you have a negative 1d6 in all your checks. And that's bad. But you've taken a shot to your gut. They've managed to get it out, and you're somehow alive. And you're wrapped up. You are fucking hurt. You are not doing too hot. It's going to take a bit for you, it's like, yeah, you're going to get a nasty scar at the end of it. You're going to live, but you're clearly not doing too hot. Now, you may be wondering, Notepad, what does this mean for characters like the Survivor? Well, because remember, the Survivor's ability allows him to burn a face card. He can use any face card, Jack, Queen, or King, to actually just get rid of any wound if he wants. So if he takes a mortal wound, he plays a Jack, he's not actually mortally wounded. He's fine. Or if he, it's one of those things like, maybe he gets mortally wounded, but then he spends the Jack card to mitigate a heavy wound. Maybe he burns a King card to mitigate a heavy wound. And he's just keeping himself at mortal wounds, but never really trying to go beyond it. That's what the Survivor's all about. It's about manipulating this wound severity. Try not to die. Yeah, that's kind of the basics of, like, character creation is effectively done. Like, it's not complicated to make a character. I didn't want it to be super complicated. But next we get into adventures and dangers. Let's see. A vagabond's life is rarely really one of peaceful sailing and afternoon luncheons. Rather they are often embroiled in a place's mysteries. Let's see. Vagabond's life is really one peaceful sailing and afternoon luncheons. Rather, they are often embroiled in a location's problems, whether they like it or not. Whether they like it or not. At the start of every episode, the vagabonds will sail into port or take a rest. We'll sail into port for refueling or repair, or an actual hotel. Let's see. At the start of every episode, the vagabonds will sail into port for refueling, repair, an actual hotel, and then most likely get drawn into conflict. Adventures during an episode. We don't capitalize episode. Episode can be a variety of problems and situations. The vagabonds are tasked with solving, usually with the promise of a reward, usually with the promise of a reward or helping their cause. Not helping their cause. At the end of an episode. So when the vagabonds have completed or failed spectacularly at their mission, they'll hop aboard their ship and continue down the river. There we go. Yeah, so it is kind of like, the one thing I kind of want to like re-emphasize constantly is like, you are a bunch of traveling fucking vagabonds. You're not like tied to any place. You are mercenary. And I want that to get across. Ow. Gotta fuck. Owie. Don't know if I like this strawberry lemonade. Very sweet. It's weird because I like sweet things. You just think I like sweet things. It's too sweet for me. Let's see. Okay, so we want to do... How are we going to do this? It's pretty simple. It's our first thing are going to be investigations, which is mostly based around... Actually, we want to do... So investigations are going to be vagabonds need to investigate and find something out. Uncovering a mystery. Then we're going to have combat encounter. We're going to have combat, which is the vagabonds are drawn into a fight, which they will need to win or escape from. And then finally, we're going to have social encounters, which is the vagabond schmooze. To get information or from someone. Get something from someone. Schmooze and scheme, get information. Yeah, there we go. So it's kind of that idea. I feel like they're, let's see. Investigations, combat encounters, social encounters. What else am I missing? Yeah, this game isn't going to be very complex. I knew that from the get-go. This is going to be a fairly light game. What would be a good... Let's see. Let's actually think. We got investigations, which we need to find out something. Combat, which is me shooting you. Social encounters, which is... We're pretty much going to probably end up reworking on some aspects of that, but the entire concept of that is mostly being in situations in which you need to find information or you need the schmooze or something similar to that. Let's see. Actually, I know what we can do. We can probably assign something akin to a, not necessarily like an adventure, but a expeditions. So we can do, we'll break it down. We'll do investigations first. Because investigations are simple. Then we can do investigation, pretty simple to do. Then we move on to expeditions, which is still pretty simple. We're going to go out of order, but this is just by complexity. Social encounters, that's going to be a little bit more complex, and then we end off on combat, which is the most complex aspect. So it's kind of like, this is how you're going to be able to kind of structure things. Because combat, I don't want combat to be like every session is going to have combat in it. Or every single session you should expect to bring out a gun and shoot. I don't want that. I want people to feel like they can still enjoy this by doing everything completely non-combat. And I'm okay with it. Let's see. Maybe we add a plus, then we add... No, I think this should work. This should work. Okay, yeah. Well, the thing is, not necessarily non-combat war, but you're not technically part of it. Like, you are... The best way to think about it is... You are... Yeah, it's look at that war. Like, yeah, there's a war going over there. Yeah, fuck that. You are a bunch of mercenaries. You guys are a bunch of fuckwits, kind of stuck in the middle of things, sometimes with your own jobs, sometimes with your own kind of goals in mind. Yeah, you know, maybe using the term mercenary isn't the quite correct term, because you get people like Raphael, our sample character. Raphael, however, he has zero combat skills. He's not really designed to be a combatant at all. He is here to write a story for his fucking newspaper. That's why he's here. He's here to record the story of his newspaper for his newspaper, and he kind of wants to say, like, here's what's going on here. Like, this is the truth. That's what he wants to do, and that's his storyline. Yeah, Raphael's a wandering hobo with a job. Yeah, he's this Italian. He's effectively this Italian reporter being like, hey, my government is probably going to be saying one thing, and I don't want to get shot by them. But I'm going to record this as like the God's honest truth of what's going on. Some other people might be like, I'm just in it for money. I don't really want to. I'm not here to shoot anybody. I'm here to deliver guns to the Republicans because we know they're gonna, it wouldn't be the Republicans. It would be the coalition. I'm here to deliver guns to the coalition because I want to make fat stacks. Or, hey, I'm a trained soldier. However, I don't really want to kill everybody. I'm kind of neutral on the whole thing. I don't really care for anybody. So it's like, I think one of the ideas, like what I'm trying to do is, you're in this situation where there is a war going on and combat's going to happen, but it's not going to be like a priority. Like if you want to do stuff to kind of like go around, it's like, yeah, you might have an entire mission which is just deliver medicine to this hospital. Yeah, everyone is Rasputin here. They're here to fuck around and find out what happens. Yeah. Yeah, and it's like, you have to deliver this crate of medicine to a hospital. Okay, where's the hospital? This should be easy for easy money. Oh, it's in the middle of this battleground. What do you fucking mean it's in the middle of the battleground? So it's like, okay, we need to find a way to get, not only transport this crate of medicine that's fucking heavy, and there's going to require like 2 people to carry this thing everywhere. We need to get this crate of valuable medicine across the city and then into a war zone and then drop it off and then get back. How are we going to do that? Well, I can get a car. Okay, how are we going to get a car? Well, we can buy a car. Who the fuck is selling a car? We're in the middle of a war, so being like, okay, we'll steal a car. How are we going to steal a car? Like, it's one of those things where it's like, here's a situation, solve it. How do you do it? There could be not a single shot fired that entire time, but it's just the problems going on with it. It's just all the shit people then. Yeah, then they arrive and decide, you know what? You don't deserve those medicine. Fuck you. You don't deserve that medicine. Fuck you. Yeah, or just like, you can be like, you can choose it to a few different kind of perspectives, as being this like, well, it's the coalition is clearly kind of sending you there, but then you have like, yeah, the communists want the medicine. Because then the thing is, you should do something like this if you really want to be a dick. Give the players this giant crate of medicine from the coalition. They're like, we'll pay you money. Like, cool. You deliver the medicine, you get the writ from this person. We'll give you the money when you get back. Cool, easy enough to do. 2 problems though. You get out there, you have discovered 3 things. 1, the communists need the medicine. The Free Army needs the medicine. The anarchists need the medicine. They are all arguing with each other over it. They all want it. And they all can technically give you the writ. And they're the ones probably going to get mad at each other. But you also know repeatedly that over the hill, the National Guard guys are completely fucked. They've been surrounded and getting hit constantly and are just completely fucked. But but you have a guy willing to pay you double what the coalition is paying if you deliver the medicine to the fucking Patriots across the other side. So it's like, well, what do we do? Do we give it to the communists? Do we give it to the anarchists? Do we give it to the Free Guard, who may or may not actually be able to do anything for us? Or do we deliver it to the Patriots, who are going to pay us more, but are clearly fucking fascists? It's like, not a single shot needs to be fired. Not a single combat encounter needs to happen. It's just you, this fucking crate, trying to get it someplace. So a win-win for the Patriots. It's one of the things, again, you are in the middle of this. You're just people trying to make a quick buck. Or maybe you're trying to do something a little bit more complicated. And of course, if you get into a fight, that's going to happen. But let's see. Let's start with investigations. When there's a crime afoot and the culprit and the Investigation. And investigation is called. There has to be a better term for investigation. Investigation. I guess actually calling it a mystery would be. I guess calling it a mystery would be better, right? Like, yeah, so it's like mysteries. Ah, no, fuck. Or used term mystery. Because the thing is, I already have the investigation skill, so it's like, I how do I want to word this? Unless I change the definition of investigation, like, ability to find the hidden, discovering clues. Detectives have investigation. No, I think calling it just an investigation. An investigation is called for. The vagabonds enter the scene with all of the basic information provided for them. With all the basic information provided for them. This basic information provided for them, as well as the basic clue to determine to continue their inquiries. The basic during an investigation, the vagabonds are encouraged to make checks and use their skills to uncover additional clues. And discover deeper meanings behind each one of them. So during an investigation, the vagabonds are encouraged to make checks and use their skills to uncover additional clues and discover deeper meanings behind each one of them. A vagabond. Clues are important. Actually, important pieces of the puzzle surrounding the investigation. Whether it's scouring the apartment. Clues are important pieces of the puzzle surrounding the investigation. Whether it's scouring the apartment of a runaway artist, or picking through the trash, or actually, whether it's scouring the apartment of a runaway artist or picking through the debris of a broken building, the clues can be anywhere. Let's see. So clues can be anywhere. When each clue in a location, each clue in a part of how do I want to word this? In an act, in a part. Actually, no. Okay. Each clue in the current investigation adds more questions and problems for the vagabonds to uncover. Or at least a lead to follow up on. The actually no, we can do not the basic. Enter the scene, as well as the key clue. clue to continue their inquiries. The key clue is the crux on which the investigation can freely continue with. Is the crux on what the investigation can freely continue with, but often it provides only the most basic information on the current situation, rather than anything deeper. So, like an example here, if we kind of use like just a basic example of what like an investigation may be. Let's say the Vagabonds arrive in town, and the basic investigation is, oh no, I need you to find my son. My son has gone missing. He is an artist located in the heart of the city. However, we are currently under siege. You know, like he has gone missing, and he clearly had sympathies for the wrong people, and it's kind of a mess in the middle, and nobody knows what happened to this guy. So can you please go find my son? I will pay you to deliver him back to me, or at least deliver him to me where he had gone. You're like, okay, we can do that. Simple enough. So yeah, it's like, okay, well, we have a key to his apartment. And then we go to his apartment. We open up the door, and the place is untouched. Weirdly untouched. You enter into the apartment. You look around for a bit. The key clue is you find you kind of find his suitcase on his bed as he was clearly packing away something, and wait a moment, these are train tickets. These are clearly train tickets for the last train out of this town, going closer to some of the more of the coalition side. He's clearly trying to make a run for the coalition. Okay, we have the crux clue. You have the key clue. Okay, he's trying to run to the coalition. Why? Okay, well, maybe we can investigate the train station, and maybe he's there. But why did he leave all this stuff here? Someone makes an investigation check immediately. They succeed. You find something. Okay. You know, taking a look around his room. Wait a moment. He never finished packing. All his stuff is still here. Even if he did try to, even if he did just go with the clothes on his back, he does not have enough for anything here. This is relatively recent. He was getting ready to leave, and then something drew him away. Which, wait a second, maybe you kind of like open it up, and it's one of those things like he clearly has taken nothing. So wherever he is, he only pretty much has his clothes on. He just has whatever he was wearing. And you kind of like, this place is too clean. So if someone else makes a check, someone makes an artistry check. Wait a second. These different locations are different. He's this artist. He's clearly drawing something. He actually finished this painting recently. This is a finished painting that he just recently completed. And that's kind of weird because, again, he's trying to leave. Why would he go out of his way to finish this painting? And you kind of look around for it, and you're like, okay, we're getting more of an understanding of what occurred here. You're getting more of an understanding of, it's kind of weird, he left immediately, but he clearly was finishing something. Did somebody maybe bring him away? Like, is he with somebody? Did he do this independently? Someone may make another check. Someone may make like an athletics check and like, okay, wait a second. What's going on here? Let's move something. Let's make a check. You find and you move something away. It's like, hey, he has this little space behind here that's been cleaned the fuck out. There's something back here. The safe that he had back in his wall or something has been cleaned out. Who knew this guy? It's like, who knew this guy? Where is he from? Why didn't he take his things? Now time to investigate. Then you go to like the train station and like, well, here are these tickets. What's going on with this guy? We're trying to find the person who would buy these because these are recent and it's like a painter. So it's like, okay, maybe you go to an art gallery. Okay, we know where he's been from. Or hey, maybe we go to the train station to uncover that. Or maybe you go try to find the coalition people. They might know. So it's kind of like, okay, we have different different angles to approach it. More clues, better clues. Let's see. Based on the current situation rather than anything. And what we'll do is we'll provide like we'll do a basic example here. Let's see. When the narrator is building investigation, the target number to find new clues. What skills are available? Let's see. It should be tied to the difficulty and value of the clues in the location. Clues in the location. However, any exterior clue should never be fundamental in the investigation. Let's see, should never be fundamental in the investigation. The subsequent every subsequent clue kind of informs and assists. That's not how we want to do that. We want to do that. Should never be fundamental. Pretty much, you should never hide it. And I always remember this from Gumshoe. If anyone is ever writing any investigation system, you should always remember one key, very important key aspect. I want to make this as abundant as possible. Never hide the important bits. Always tell them the important bits. Always give them the most fundamental key pieces of information. But provide context for them. That is what they're investigating. They are not making a check to discover the key clue, because you can fail checks. You always remember that. You can always fail checks. However, if you already have the key clue, even if you fail everything to get like the exterior checks or any of the other information, you can still always attempt to get. They still have some place to go with. I think that's like one of the most important things when it comes to investigation games. I see a couple try and fail dramatically at it, but like that's a very key aspect of it though. So let's write the very basic situation. So we'll do a sample. I have basic investigation. A young man has an older gentleman has contracted the vagabonds to find his missing daughter, providing them a key to her studio apartment. Let's see, providing them a key to her studio apartment. Moving into the heart of the city. It's quite obvious. The neighborhood which she is in. Let's see. It's quite obvious the neighborhood she is in is pro-patriot. But let's see. Moving heart of the city, quite obvious neighborhood which she's in is pro-patriot. But opening up her studio. It's It's covered in coalition. It's covered in fucking we'll do FPL. It's covered in FPL. It's covered in FPL inspired paintings. Inspired paintings. Immediately, it's obvious that there was a slight struggle in the apartment. Let's start struggle in the apartment with the latest painting. The latest painting being knocked over. Latest painting being knocked over, and the paint drying on the ground. Taking a deeper look at the painting. Taking a deeper look at the painting, it is a young man. It is a young man. Obviously, actually, is a young man with a military yellow cap on. Young man with military yellow cap on. Obviously a portrait. Obviously a portrait. That is the key clue. She's doing this portrait of somebody. It was very clearly like, yes, this is like, she is making a portrait of somebody with a yellow cap on, which should be, hey, they're a Crusadist. Like, this is part of the other group, and this Crusadist guy she was doing a portrait of, even though her entire apartment is in Communist Manifesto tier. And she's doing this of this one man. And so it's like, okay, that's a little bit weird. We can maybe go off of that a little bit more. Like, there's a lot of Crusaders in here. There's a Crusaders. We're in this neighborhood. We can see what we can find out about. Like, let's really kind of take a look and see what we can find about this. Maybe he's the one who kidnapped her. Maybe there's something else going on. We know what's going on. Deeper investigations would be something like, hey, obviously there had to be like, the lock isn't broken. Whoever came in here was already either in here, or they knew, or they were let in. Pretty much, this was not them breaking in. This was them coming in willingly and then taking her. Which they even locked the door behind her, which is like, that's a little bit suspicious. They clearly were going fast, but didn't want anyone else to think it was weird. Or it's like, hey, this guy is like would be just about her age. Oh, a little bit weird. And like, why is she doing a portrait of a yellow cap here? He obviously doesn't like them. But looking deeper, it's like, okay, like, it's like if you had an artistry skill, you can kind of see like, yeah, like this is clearly like FPL inspired paintings, but she's mixing it with, Crusaders. So she's obviously like on both sides, because you see the yellow caps and all that. It's like something is clearly weird here. Like, that's what I want this to go under. Like, this is how I want this investigation to feel. Like, we need to uncover more clues, Gromit. Clues. An older gentleman is contracted. The older gentleman is actually trying to retrieve his daughter before she reveals the secret that he doesn't age, but his portrait does. Like, I'm like, My thing is, like, if you want to put in the magic stuff, you want to do a little bit more supernatural, I won't stop you. I'm not going to, like, add in magic rules or anything. However, like, if you do want to put in something like that, it's kind of like, I can't really stop anybody being like, sorry, everybody, if you put in magic, I will literally come and chop your cock off. Like, I will literally tear your dick off. It's be very dramatic. But we're going to do a table. Actually, can we just do like a nice little simple table? Yeah, we'll do a nice little simple table, like right here. God bless tables. I don't know why I keep putting tables on there. We want to do... Let's see, we want to do our basic clue type would be, you know, informative. Actually, no, we want to do, how do I want to do that? How do I want to word this? Because it's kind of like the idea of like, this is the idea of like, this is a big clue. Like, then we have like a building clue, which is more along the, like, a building clue is like it's building on something. I wrote everything down in this one, so damn straight I'm going to make a reference here. Yeah. When in doubt. So building clues. Actually, no, we do basic clues. Basic clues. Actually, basic. Deep. Exterior. Herring clues. Kind of like the more the identification of herring. Let's see, basic, deep, hit, exterior, herring, hidden. Connecting. So, basic description of basic clues provide provide information. Deep clues are a fundamental shift. Let's see, shift in perspective of a. It wouldn't be fuck. How would you word? Wouldn't it be basic clues? It wouldn't be basic clues. It would be kind of like, this is like a very like, this is an important piece of information that like builds on. This isn't a key, but it's like a key. Like a key clue, but not a key clue. It's Portugal becomes more communist by the year. Actually, of a I guess we call it a core clue. Clue type core clues. So core clues are an important source of information, providing new avenues to investigate the scenario, or find information. Let's see, core clues are an important source of information, providing new avenues to investigate. Or new avenues to investigate the scenario or reinforce the value of the key clue. Deep clues are fundamental shifts in perspective of the key or core clues, allowing the vagabonds to draw further how do I want to word this? Further deductions. Exterior clues provide background, flavor, and other valuable information, and other information which highlights specific aspects of a. So the best way to think about it, if we go under the idea of using our basic example, like a core clue would be like, she had basic core clue is mixing Crusaders and FPL, artwork together. And a deep clue to that would be like, this is very recent. Like, this is very recent that this has started occurring. That's kind of the idea. It's just like, hey, she used to be this FPL artist, but only recently, if you look through her sketchbook, you can find like, wait a moment, this is very recent. Like, this is some information that she's only recently started doing this, and it's kind of consumed her in a weird way. So it's like, like, why is she mixing two drastically opposing sides? Okay, that's a little bit weird. While an exterior clue is, and it's like, okay, she's mixing Crusaders and FPL artwork. An exterior clue would be something more along the lines of it's primarily paintings contrasting her previous pencil work, her previous drawn and. So it's like, okay, we know she was primarily an art, like a drawer. She drew things with like a pencil or a pen and things. That's what she primarily did. But now she's doing paintings all of a sudden, and now she's mixing this Crusaders and FPL artwork. So it's like, that's kind of weird. Like, we provided a lot of information for just a single clue. We have the herring information. It's always a red herring. Let's see. Hidden clues have been deliberate. Let's see. Hidden clues have been deliberately obscured by one or more parties in an attempt to. Connecting clues are often found in as they begin to connect the dots between various core and between the key and various core clues. Between the key and various core clues. There we go. The core clue is going to give you all the core clue is a big piece of information Deep clues provide deeper understanding of those information. Exterior clues provide a lot of flavor to things. Herring clues are to fuck with you and to determine whether or not they're real. Hidden clues want to be hidden, obviously. And finally, connecting clues are things to tie other things together. Okay. So we want to do our base. Let's go up here to grab our basic target numbers again, so we don't forget. It's lore. Let's see, connecting. Let's do connecting clues are going to be mostly about like 8 to 12. Like, it's not difficult to find like the right, like, okay, we've connected the fact that like you're the kid from the, you're the kid who is being drawn. You little shit. Like, you're obviously the same kid. Core information should be around 12 to 16. It should be kind of hard. Deep information should be 12 to 18. It's very difficult to get core, like deeper information. Exterior information should be about easy to, actually I should even do like 6 to 10. Like, it's very easy to get in for like exterior information. Herring information should be 12. We'll do 12 to 16. To 16, and finally hidden information should be about 14 to, so we'll do about 12 to, actually we can probably do like 8 to 16. Like, hidden information can be like, it just kind of depends on what the information is. Like that, these people are clearly trying to hide something, however they're not very good at it. We slap an image right there. We can kind of give like, here's the basic clue types. Like, this is what we're kind of looking for. We want to do this. We want to do. Actually, I know what I want. Let's see it. Let's see if I'm allowed to do this. No, I don't think I'm allowed to. No. I guess we could do that. Let's see. Investigations come in many different forms. Let's see. Investigations come in many different forms. Often, many of them. Cool. After, let's see. So we want to say, for example, let's go back up to our skills check. The skills here real fast. Let's say, artistry. Yeah, the youth portrait. Say some of the kind of exterior and from the youth portrait, clearly done with love and care in it. Then we go to all difficult to find. Difficult to find, and it takes a minute for the Vagabond to discover. Now it says we're making close associations with various different potential suitors, including one. What's a good Spanish name? Random Spanish name. Vito Lacona. One Vito Lacona. Let's see. Has been making close association with various potential suitors, including one Vito Lacona, who writes with a certain flair to all his wording. So it's like, okay, like this guy Vito Lacona has shown up repeatedly. Like, okay, maybe we can find him. Maybe he'll know something. Maybe we can find something. So let's do mercantile. Actually, no, we can do while artists may appreciate the line work, it's clear to see that none of these have any real value due to the various political leanings of them. Whoever was here clearly wasn't intending to steal anything. So it's one of those things, like, you roll well on your mercantile, it's like, yeah, you clearly can tell, like, none of these are going to sell to anybody. These are useless. These are worth nothing. But that kind of rules out the art, like, yeah, they're not going to steal anything. This is clearly not like, we're going to steal and make money off of it. No, you just want to write Gomez somewhere, don't you? Let's see. What are some other interesting ones that we can maybe I know. Do banter. I'll do banter, hidden information. Oh, well, they're reluctant. It's clear to whoever was here. Let's see. So, yeah, we can't really do like a connecting one, but like here's some very basic like we'll do cutting, connecting. Let's see. The Vagabond can easily tell that Vito Lacona, that Vito is lying about his knowledge, is lying about his associations, but let's see. The Vagabonds can easily tell that Vito is lying about his associations, but more in line of not wanting to be connected, more in line, more in the line of not wanting to be connected directly to her, directly to the missing girl. So it's like, hey, wait a second, Vito, we're here, we're kind of, I know you're lying, you clearly know something, but you don't want to say anything. Why was she drawing you? I don't know, she was just some girl. I mean, like, yeah, you want to do something with her. You liked her. Why do you suddenly not know her? Well, what do you mean you're part of Gomez's crew? Oh no, we know. Yeah, it's one of those like, let's see. We want to, because we're kind of do something like, ugh, God, that looks terrible. I may put this in a table. Yeah, I'll probably put this in a table and then put like an art piece next to it. I think that'll really kind of highlight things. Oh, that'll work pretty well. Okay, so let's see. Let's get expeditions. Expeditions are going to be the next big thing. So we've kind of like, here's what investigations will look like. We're going to do, let's really take a look at what the plan is so far. If we do, let's do investigations. Well, expeditions. Do we grind? Do we rise and grind tonight? You know what? Fuck it. Let's rise and grind. Let's fucking do it. Cool. Expeditions. During their trip into Ineria. Let's see. The Vagabonds will frequently be some of these oddities can be as expeditions if they are particularly nasty. An expedition has the vagabonds travel a long distance. Let's see. An expedition has the vagabonds travel a long distance with little in the travel a long distance. Do I even put in expeditions? Because like, the idea behind an expedition is that like you're clearly going from point A to point B. Like, wouldn't you just make a check for it? And just roll fucking piloting. This is going to kind of be roll whatever this is. You just get there. I don't need expeditions. I don't need expeditions, I don't think. We'll do, we want to do, intrigue and scheming. Let's see. Vagabonds are often found in the heart of society, even in the most dangerous, let's see, often found in the heart of society. Let's see, vagabonds are often found in the heart of society, being fundamental in their, okay. Let's see. Let's see. Vagabonds are often found in the heart of society, being able to manipulate the current situation as well as people present to grant them the resources, goods, and support. When an intrigue is called, the vagabonds are tasked with influencing a particular individual, as well as their immediate supporters to assist them or at least divulge the necessary information. These intrigues are often larger events, that can sway opinions of multiple people, rather than just a single individual being impressed. During an intrigue, we'll be using a variety of checks. Tools, information to wheel and deal. Support from temporary alliances and support from a central figures. Let's see. Temporary alliance support from central figures, entourage and group, entourage and followers. Should they secure enough, the central figure. The central figure will buckle and grant them their request. If it was that simple, then there would be no need for vagabonds. But someone or something else is working against them. Often opponents to the vagabonds are those who have the central figure's ear closest, or just that dragon time. Let's see. The central figures. How do I want to word them? Yeah, the central figures. Let's see. Is divided into, how do I want to word this? 10. How do I want to word this? Okay, no. not manipulation. Each central figure has a certain amount of sway. Actually, yeah, certain amount of sway required to bring them. So each central figure has a certain amount of sway required to bring them on board. Bring them on board the vagabond's plans. However, depending on the situation, multiple figures throughout the location will have different amounts of sway to influence the central figure. Then we provide an example. So let's see. So the entire let's see. Certain amount. Different amounts of sway to influence a central figure. May have. Or simply actually be may have them reject influencing them entirely. While losing support may have them reject influencing them entirely, or worse, support the opposition. Okay, so oh jeez. Yeah, let's keep going. Let's go. Let's see if we have them reject influencing them entirely or support the position. There we go. Okay, I know what we can do here. So the entire idea of this section is like, yeah, you can influence people. This is a mechanic, and you should think about it. But we're going to have to do an example entry. Let's see, two forces sit opposite one another on the hills. On the hillside, neither willing to. Actually, two forces sit opposite of one another in a valley, both knowing that charging forward would most likely end. Mulched in the valley below. Most likely getting mulched in the valley below. the vagabonds have found themselves inside the Patriot camp. Inside the Patriot camp, where a debate is ongoing about using the Black Eagle Legion's artillery pieces. Eagle Legion's artillery pieces to shell the enemy position. However, using those artillery would most likely cause a landslide, condemning a village in the valley to death. The vagabonds have agreed to sway the aging. What's this fucking? What do I fucking call him? Let's see. The vagabonds agreed to sway the aging FNS commander. Agreed to sway the aging FSN commander to not use the artillery. While a Black Eagle spokesperson is doing their best. The commander's sway value is 10. Sway value is 12. Commander's sway value is 12, while the commander's sway value is 12. Among his ranks, his trusted advisor. His trusted advisor has 5 sway. His command staff have 4. See, his trusted advisor has 5. His command staff has 4. The Crusaders brigades have 3. The FNS militia groups have 3. The National Guard commander has 4. While finally the what would be another good one in the field? Well, finally the village itself has 2, so that would be 5, 9, 12, 15, 19, 21. So yeah, it's kind of like one of those things, like, if you get a bunch of people on board, they're going to be able to support you. However, the Black Eagle Legion obviously is like, yeah, well, we want to convince them to, because we're this, and they might have an advantage. Like, yeah, the trusted advisor is going to be there. Like, if you secure the command staff, the brigade, and then like both, kind of like all the military groups, like, yeah, they're going to go. But the Black Eagle Legion's like, yeah, we're going to get the Crusaders, we're going to get the militia groups, and we're going to get the National Guard commander, which is like, oh, well, all they need is like one other thing, and they've got it. Like, well, shit. Like, he's a bitch this way, but it might be like come down to the trusted advisor, or it just becomes a deadlock. Which I'm gonna have to kind of put that in as an example somewhere, being like, this is what happens when a complete fucking deadlock occurs. Example, intrigue. Yeah, when a deadlock occurs, it's kind of a double or nothing, which is just like, yeah, you're gonna have to just do like break your fucking back trying to convince him to do something else. Like, you're clearly doing something to sway his opinion now. Like, he's on the fence. Okay, so working with the various groups to secure their sway their sway over the central figure. Central figure is called scheming. Is called scheming. Scheming can be positive or negative. Scheming doesn't necessarily mean doing something negative, but mostly involves working with a group to influence their decision making. This influence their decision making, or undermine the opposition in some way. Every depending on the group, they may have the vagabond. They may have the vagabonds work for them temporarily, or simply get another group, get another faction on board, or simply get another faction on board, or attempt to negotiate, or attempt to prove them, or attempt to negotiate an advantage. Extremely good successes. Extremely good. Succeeding greatly. May involve the group earning additional sway. Or lowering the sway of opposing groups. However, always remember, some groups simply do not get along. And will refuse to work together unless some kind of agreement is met. So kind of like an idea of how I want this to work is, we'll use the FNS commander idea. It's, you're going to be working, you go to the trusted advisor being like, hey, this is insane. We can't use this heavy artillery, or, a lot of people are going to die. He's like, yeah, I know we can't use it. Like, I understand that, but we also need to win the fight here. So, like, how about this? I will support you if you can get the command staff on board. If you can get his entire command staff on board, I'm going to join you immediately, because we're working together on this. However, if you try to bring anybody, if you try to bring that bastard National Guard commander on board, fuck you, I'm not going to do it. That's kind of a weird scheme, but you may go to, like, the command staff being like, all of them are completely disorganized. Some of them are kind of working with it, and you get a very general gist of, like, there is a problem internally where they've lost something. Like, they're very uncertain. Like, if someone needs to go scouting, perhaps, like maybe a small group of people need to go scouting, but nobody can agree on who to go scout. Well, maybe you can do that to win their trust. You go to the Crusaders, and the Crusaders are like, well, obviously we want to work, we don't want to bomb our people. That's ridiculous. However, I need you to, but those FNS bastards are clearly doing something. So, like, if you do something to undermine them, like if you steal some stuff for us, we'll work with you. So, if you kind of undermine the FNS militia group to the command staff, we'll support you immediately. We'll fight you. We'll fight with you, kind of thing. Like, we'll support this. But they're like, oh, well, our sway increases if you do really well, and maybe the FNS militias groups kind of drops. But you talk to the commander, and the commander's like, I just think both these guys are stupid, but I know a guy in the village, so if you help me in the village, You get the village on board, maybe we can, you know, solve the problem before it even happens. We can use the village, you know, we can use the village as a staging ground. Which if you can, you know, if you kind of pursue that line of theory, it's like, okay, we can boost the village's value, but the village obviously wants something else. This is an entire session almost of people, you have you trying to like work with various groups to kind of maybe get them on board or finally, or just kind of not kill one another. That's the idea. That's the plan. Or it could just be something really small. Here's four people, you know, here's a couple people, and you need to now influence this central figure who, you know, this person doesn't want to work with this person, but this person is obviously doing here. Make a few checks and bada bing, bada boom, we're all working together. Or it could be like, oh, we're at a party, we're, you know, wining and dining, and we need to get in the back. We need to, you know, kind of get in there. Well, obviously, we need to influence, you know, the party, you know, the chief party guy. Let us into the special room, and so it's like, well, of course we'll schmooze with this lady over here, we're schmooze over here, but everyone's got some more influence kind of spread around. Like, I see what you're doing. Depending on the group. Do actually, we want to do something along the lines of total sway, and then we do like number of groups. So central figure's sway value of like, we'll say like 6 to, you know, it's kind of like 6 to 10. Actually, we'll do like, so yeah, 6 to 10. You know, being like, actually central figure is willing to bend as long as there is at least some support for the matter. However, bending goes both directions. It's like someone with like really low sway is just like, you're kind of working a little bit faster. Like, we gotta go. We're usually bad. Total sway. If we're doing with that, we want to double, so we want to do about 12 to 20. Number of groups, usually it's going to be about 3 to... Actually, no, we can do, if we keep it around there, we do about 12 to 16. Not 26, 16. If we increase it by 6 each time, so number of groups, there's not going to be many groups. Sometimes you only need like 2 or 3 groups to really kind of get one of these in. It's just like, yeah, just get the right people. We do like 11 to, let's say, like 16. Some people always have a sir. No, some people always have a closer relationship. Total sway, we're going to be dealing with about 24. We're going to increase the number of groups up to about 4 to 8. Then our final one is going to be about 17 to 20. It is going to be about 17 to 22. without absolute certainty. That absolutely certainty of support, or overwhelming. Let's see. Essentially, refuse the bend without absolutely certainty of support or overwhelming disapproval. Approval of the action. Total sway. We're going to be increasing this. It's going to be, we increase it by 6, so we want to do something along the line like 23 to 28. And then we can increase it to 4 to 5 to 10. Kind of basic groups, kind of like it's a big thick boy. What I might do is something more along the lines of like this, slap an image right here to kind of give everybody an idea of what intrigue and scheming is all about. Kind of more highlighting some basic factors. I don't really need to. I really need to add any more. No, I don't really need to add any more. Having just 3 of these is kind of simple enough to understand. I could probably do it based off of intervals of 5, make it a little bit easier, but I guess I can do that. It would be 6 to 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Then we do 20, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Just intervals of nice little intervals of 5. Kind of give people like the idea of like increase it up by a certain amount, always have like very consistent. You're always going to have more total sway than the sway value, just so it's like even if you don't get everybody on board, you still have some people on board. And having some people on board, you can kind of get a better idea of what you're working with. So it's like, okay, so actually let's we want to follow our own rules here a little bit. Let's see, we have 5, 9, 12, 15. Yeah, no, that's fine. That's a fine enough number. Technically, I should probably have some more groups in there, but that's kind of, it fulfills its purpose. I can probably put a side note. Actually, what I'll do it. Intrigues and schemes are not here to make some. Are not here to. Actually, intrigues are not here to gather basic information. Nor are they here to be. Let's see. Intrigues and schemes are not here to gather basic information, nor are basic checks here to get basic checks allowed. The situation. Intrigues. Series of individuals influencing one another to come to a choice. Who supports who, and who is more than willing to support somebody else. Let's see, who supports who, and who is more than willing to support somebody else. Someone else. Schemes allow the vagabonds to truly show off their skill, their abilities and skills. Let's see. Schemes allow the vagabonds to, but all feeding into the initial intrigue. Intrigue should be grand and important. They are they require many people. They require many people working simultaneously together. To achieve the desired result. If it's a simple answer or question, simple answer needed, a check will do. If the fate of others are at stake with lives on the line, with one person shouldering the responsibility. It's most likely a. Oh yeah. And I just want to highlight the idea of what the fuck these things actually are. Just the basic. It doesn't sound very well, but what I'm trying to get across. So the concept being like, yeah, again, it's intrigues are big and they're grand and they're fucking scary, and you should feel scared participating in an intrigue. Like, there's clearly forces at work. People are kind of working together. People aren't working together. You're like, I don't know what you're doing. I don't trust you. And it's like, I don't trust you. And it's different groups, different factions, and it's fairly simple. It couldn't, you can tie it to the military, but you can also tie it to non-military stuff, or you can kind of do more investigative things. But it could be even as simple as, hey, we need to convince the village to, get out. Do we want to convince the village to leave? Because their town is going to get burnt to the fucking ground. That's an intrigue. Who are you working for? What are you willing to sacrifice? What are you willing to give up? That's where the schemes, and that's where the adventure, and that's where things kind of boil into. So it's like, of course. Yes, of course. That's how it works. If you can't see, I'm very tired. It's weird because I haven't really done much today. So all right. Here's what I'll do. I'm going to call it here for today. But I'm going to call it here for today because on Monday, we're going to do the entirety of combat, most likely riverboat stuff as well. And then Wednesday, we do advancements and all the talents. I don't believe the talents are really going to be that complicated. I think it's just going to be a lot of like me sitting here and going back over everything I've already done. And then kind of delivering it back. It's like, yes, like a talent may be being like, hey, if you are in here, talent may be like, you get a +1 here, you get a +1 there, or it's like, you get a +1 d6 whenever you encounter the situation, or you're allowed to manipulate the cards a little bit more to do things. So it's like, oh, okay, you can now use, kings to do this, or hey, all conflict checks allow you to add your heart to things. Which doesn't seem very important to someone like a soldier, but soldier isn't going to be taking it. You're going to be the captain taking it. You're going to be doing this or this or this. That's kind of how I want to see this. That's how I'm kind of thinking that it's going to look. My goal is next Wednesday to get this done. Yeah, it's going to be 5 episodes exactly, but I'm feeling pretty good. We made pretty good time on most things. What I may end up doing is going back and just double checking everything, just to make sure everything is like a little bit a little bit nice, a little bit smooth to go. But like generally speaking, I think we've done most like all the hard bits. The next like kind of the hump right now is just combat encounters. I always knew this game wasn't going to be very long, and I'm okay with it not being terribly long because it doesn't need to be long. Yeah, this is one of those games that I believe it's not going to be like super mega long, and I don't want it to be super big either, Because like, what do you do in this kind of game? There isn't really that much here. Its main thing is 2d6 plus your attribute using your cards. Like, there isn't really any deep lore necessarily, because there doesn't need to be deep lore, and it's mostly about the characters and about the people and the situations. It's not necessarily about the mechanics necessarily. I can provide you a good story. I can provide you everything you need to tell this interesting story. Everything needs deep lore. Yes, everything needs deep lore. But I can't provide you a good GM. I can't like, here's how to, here's a good GM. I can't give you that. And it's going to be one of those games where it's like, you need a GM who's kind of willing to do this, kind of willing to kind of a little bit weird, a little bit funky on it. And you're going to need players to kind of understand what you're playing. You're not playing a game of shooty bang bang. You're playing a game of people running away from something. You're trying to leave. You're trying to... It's more about the situation rather than the necessarily ones, the twos, and threes. And some games are like that. It happens. I mean, it's unfortunately for everybody involved, this is still a tabletop role-playing game, and it has its own vast amount of issues. Our medium, we would like to believe our medium is large and great and wonderful, but generally speaking, there's only so much you can do. There's only so much you can really write down mechanically to have players do something. Because sometimes it's like, I can only really rely on the players to do this. I can only rely on the players to play the game. And that's its own series of issues. But yeah, we're going to probably, next Monday is going to be Combat Day, Riverboat Adventure Day. Tomorrow, though, tomorrow is going to suck. And I'm going to tell you why it's going to suck. It's going to suck because I'm going to get my coffee. I'm going to do some basic little stretches. And then we're going to rise and grind. What do I mean by rise and grind? What I mean by rise and grind is that we're going to get as much done as we can. That means Kiz Night. Yes, we're going to try to get Kiz Night done. That means we're going to be trying to hammer out fucking GKS. We're going to try and hammer out the rest of GKS. Pretty much everything that is necessary is done. Like, should be done or get into a position of being done. It might even be a script writing day where I just write all the scripts. It's going to be great. So thank you all. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Tomorrow is going to be very long, and I will probably be very tired at the end of it. So thank you. Godspeed. Good luck. I will see you all tomorrow. Aren't you posting the thread tomorrow? I am posting the thread tomorrow. I can do more than one thing a day. Yes, no, thread will be up tomorrow. I'll be doing that. You'll probably see me pop into the thread on stream, read through stuff, and do that. I don't know how long tomorrow's stream is going to be. All I know, it's going to be very fucking long. So, Godspeed, good luck.